Do it.
Right. So naturally, it's an Apocalymon deck, so we want a Pokemon at 4. He is so gross. I don't think I really need to talk about why he's gross, but just the fact that he's essentially a 3-cost card that you can slam down at any point in the game, as long as you have 3 or more Dark Masters. But then you get every Mega Zoo effect essentially. Like at any point in time you want it, you just need to have the card in trash, and that is much easier than actually playing a Mega Zoo deck. So then, I mean, we just want the purple draw engine. So Gabu at 4, starter deck 1 just because he has that start main effect. We have Guru at 4, and then Guru X at 4. Again, just purple draw engine, drawing 2, and then trashing 2, and then gaining a memory is insane. Drawing 1, trashing 1 is good. Getting to check security and pressure security with the protection is amazing. We're only running 1 of this guy. I was running him at 2, just for extra security pressure and board control, but then I read where Gurumon Ace did, and this card might be better than Zudomon. It might be the better blue ace. So it draws you a card. If you have 5 or more, you trash a card, and then whenever an effect at any turn adds a card to your hand, one of your opponent's Digimon can't suspend for the rest of the turn until the end of their turn. So this shuts down, like if you have 2 stacks out and you're playing against Galmon, for example, this shuts down Galmon because they'll make you draw cards, and then he's gonna stun Galmon.
That's crazy.
Just a really solid card. You also draw on attack, or you draw on play when Digivolving, not on attack.
Okay.
Scatter mode's also in that draw engine. Just a solid card, even at 1. So then we're playing 2 Psychmons for the mirror match, and then for Anubis. Purple doesn't really have a good Floodgate for dealing with Anubis. This is the best we have. The only thing is you have to be careful. You cannot play this unless you're absolutely certain it's going to slow your opponent down, because it also stops you from reducing your play cost. So this is why we keep him at 2. He has no inheritable. He's only a 3k. It's not the best card. I'm running 1 of this Gabu, just because he's limited. I can only run him at 1.
Of course.
Same with this guy. Really solid. I'm running 2 of the Gabu X's at it's good for cycling into your draw engine, and then if you hit stuff, you can start trashing from your hand. So we also like to run the 4 of the Analog Youth. Put them in an area where you can see them better.
That'll work.
So the Analog Youth is really solid. It is one of the best tamers in the game. If you cared about white options, he'd give you access to them, but we don't care about white options because we're a Pokemon. And then, just as you guys saw last game, if they ever remove a Pokemon, you get to suspend Analog Youth and take memory back. And he also fills up your trash and searches a Pokemon.
It's $10 for a reason.
$10 for a reason. Cases of EX1 are on the cheap. It is better financially to buy a box of EX1 and open it for the Analog Youth than it is to buy the Analog Youth. Not financial advice, though. So then we're running 1 of the Miss Memory Boost. This is a comfort card for me. I always like having it. Just having extra memory available to you is really good. And you could run Jack Raid instead. I don't like Jack Raid as a card. I think that Jack Raid's a lot less reliable, and Miss Memory Boost is better early game. And late game, if you don't have memory with this deck, you're probably fine because Apocalymon is only 3. That's a spoiler. I'm running Deathclaw at 4. Just a really solid removal option. Came out during the match with Sheep. So I hit 1 in security, deletes level 4, and then I I played it a couple of times to clear out the floodgate that prevents me from reducing my costs. I need that thing gone. It shuts down my deck. Alright, next up are the Dark Masters. Each of these are at 3. 3 Piedmon, 3 Puppet, 3 Metal C, and 3 Machine. You don't want more than this because they're bad. Like, frankly, they're the worst cards in the deck, but you need them to fuel Apocalymon, and they do have... Metal Seedramon has the best inheritable blocker. You're never going to swing with Apocalymon, so reboot is meaningless. You'll never need reboot unless you're going up against something that's suspending stuff on your turn, and even then, it doesn't really matter because they'll be dead in a couple turns. Piedmon has Retaliation. This almost never comes up because he's 15k, and Puppetmon has Piercing, which never comes up because you are never swinging with Apocalymon. It isn't worth it to hit anything with security that could help your opponent. It's just, yeah, don't swing with him. So then that leaves you with a couple of tech cards that you can use to control how the battle's going. So for every 2 cards in Apocalymons sources, or sorry, for every card in his sources, he mills your opponent for 2 at the end of your turn. He will tuck 1 at before he does this. So if I'm playing him out, I take a Puppet, a Metal C, and a Piedmon, put him under, and then I get to take another of any level 6 from my track and slide it under, and then he gets to use the on play, and then you mill 2 times the number of evolution cards he has. Really, really good effect. But now we get into the really abusable effects, which are the Magnadramon from EX3, Metallicdramon from EX3, and Craniumon from BT15. Craniumon provides you with protection. This doesn't really come up all that much. It's going to be way more relevant if you decide to continue playing this deck for some reason after the ban, which you should not do. Do not play this deck after the ban. You will never draw enough to see Apocalymon, and you will never trash enough from your hand to get things into trash.
Yeah, never say never.
And, you know what? Never say never, but I'm going to say it. Never. So Craniumon on play until the end of your turn, he's unaffected by Digimon effects, so you can still be hit with options. I'm not in love with this card. I think options, especially considering what Leviamon does, options are coming back in a big way. I don't trust anything that is just protection from Digimon effects. I know people are a little afraid of Tyrant Kabuterimon because when it's suspended, it's protected from Digimon effects. Or is it all effects? If it's protection from all effects, then yeah, that's scary. If it's just Digimon, it's completely irrelevant. Every color has really good removal options. Even like red also has really good removal options, but they've been really focused in on raid as mechanic, so they don't have many options. But if you're playing Greymon, let's be real, they're not getting into their Tyrant Kabuterimon. They're just not doing it.
Yeah.
The next one is Metallicdramon. This guy is a bastard and is like actually a problem. So his on play is D-Digivolve 1, all of your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of their Digimon for play cost of 5 or less. That's not terrible. What is terrible is that if nothing gets deleted by that effect, your opponent cannot Digivolve their Digimon. So this didn't come up too much against Red Hybrid because also Red Hybrid is this deck's worst matchup by far. Like Red Hybrid is it's a very dangerous matchup. Like just the aggression is there, and then the fact that they want their stuff to die means you really have to think before you do stuff and not play a Deathclaw and let them play out 2 Takuyas for free.
Yeah.
Game 1. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. But so none of your opponent's unsuspended Digimon can Digivolve until the end of their next turn. That is a really, really dangerous effect to have to deal with. Tamers, again, not affected by it, but if you're going against Hunters, for example, that locks them out of the game for a turn.
That's a good point.
Like, they just can't do anything. They can swing, and then you block the Pokemon, and now their stack is dead, and they have nowhere to go from there.
Right.
Last up is the Magnetramon. Just on play, all of your opponent's Digimon get Sec -1 until the end of their turn. That is a really annoying effect. It locks people out of the game, and if you're not playing red, basically, you lose instantly. Like, as soon as this guy gets in trash, that's a very good sign that you're cooked, because he only needs to be around for 2 or 3 turns, and then you've lost the game. Like, you draw so much in this game, you're playing with a 50 card deck, but start of game you take 10 off the top, so he only has to mill 40 cards, and he starts at milling 8, and then he'll mill 10 the next turn. So that's like, as soon as he comes down, you're on a 3-turn countdown basically, and then you lose. And if there's a second one in hand, it's a 1-turn countdown. Like, you have to win that turn or you're done. But yeah, basically how this deck likes to play. Gonna grab any Gabumon. You want to evolve in the back. I forgot about the eggs.
Yeah, I was going to mention that at the end, but it's fine. Yeah, you got the Sunomon.
So, one of Sunomon, just trash a card, draw a card. Really good. You're trashing for a hand constantly. It's a really powerful cycling tool. Anubis uses it really well. BT15 Dmvdrakes. On deletion, trash a level 5 or higher Digimon from your hand, draw 2 cards. Really good at cycling, really good at putting your megas in the trash where you need them to be. So the general play pattern of its deck is you'll hatch an egg. It doesn't really matter which one. It's 4 of the Dmvdrakes, by the way.
Of course.
And 1 of Suno.
Okay.
And then this is really a Sunomon just in case you only have the Gabu X in hand, so you can evolve for free. But really, evolving for one on turn 1 isn't that big of a deal. So you evolve Gabu, and then you usually want to hold him back until you can promote. So that way you can evolve into Garuru. When Digivolving, draw a card, trash a card, start your cycle. Then you want to go into Garuru X, draw 2, trash 2, gain a memory, and then just start swinging. So this pressures security, lets you cycle even more with the inheritables, and there just isn't a lot someone can do about this. If you get into level 5 over this guy too, like that's a lot of pressure. Again, we're only running 2 level 5s. But I mean, this is essentially the Beelstar engine, just with a different
top end basically
source. Yeah. This is essentially Beelstar, but with a slightly different payoff.
I got you.
And a much more dangerous payoff too, because generally the Megazoo effects are really hard to deal with in ways options are not. Because again, we're not really removing anything at any point in time during the game. The only time we're removing stuff is if we're bricking on our megas. But all of these guys just either protect Apocalymon, protect your security, or de-digivolve. And there isn't really anything in the game to stop you from doing that. And the fact that you get to choose which effect you're applying is really strong. Because yeah, again, especially in a meta where aces are so prevalent, de-digivolving an ace is usually enough to end the game with this deck. Because you de-digivolve the ace, overflow, get more memory, play another Apocalymon, they're cooked.
Yeah. So how was your games today, just out of curiosity? Would you play today in the tournament? Would you play against?
So I played against Numemon.
Okay.
And then Sukamon, and then Red Hybrid. So I had an interesting curve to my games tonight. Red Hybrid is definitely the most difficult deck for me to deal with. But that, yeah. Frankly, the way the meta works, the only decks that can really pose a problem to Apocalymon are specifically Red Hybrid and Anubismon. And Anubismon's only capable of doing it because they can go so fast, and it's the same for Red Hybrid. Like, if you give me any time at all to set up, I will win. And that's essentially what this deck is. It's just a setup deck that has a really, really aggressive bottom end and the ability to cycle better than almost any other deck in the game. And yeah, I think hitting the engine might have been enough, but as long as a Pokemon exists as a 4-of, or even as a 1-of, I think that limits the design space of this game a lot. Like, for example, let's say hypothetically they decided they were going to design a set around the Demon Lords, and they were going to have a bunch of on-play effects for a Mega Zoo deck that trashed cards from the top of your deck, and then there were all of a sudden 7 Megas that all trash cards from the top of your deck and care how much stuff you have in trash and are designed to be played. That causes a really big problem with this card. And
hypothetically speaking, of course.
Hypothetically speaking, yeah. I'm glad it's gone, but at the same time, it's here for a month. I say, if you have the time, play it on the sim, and maybe print some proxies and see if people at locals would be willing to play up against it. I think it's a really fun deck, but it needed to go.
I understand. Yeah. I'm really and I'm gonna just end off with this, and thank you for the deck list and your explanations. I think you explained the problem with Pokemon really well. If they didn't hit it, it would have been like an actual Digimon tier 0 format, because like you said, even in best of 3 or whatever, nothing can really touch it. Like, it covers the spread of decks that it can cover, except like Red Hybrid is just too vast. And like you said in the beginning, once you draw for your hand and put your security down, you're already at 40 cards. You draw for Digivolve, right? So you're cycling constantly. So about turn 3 or 4, you're dead. So it had to go. It was too good.
They had to hit it.
They had to hit it.
The other there is one thing that does deal with this deck really well.
Okay.
Merciful mode. Merciful mode shuts this deck off entirely. However, if there's only one card that deals with the deck that is next to unbeatable, that deck shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
Because if it gets turned off by one card, that's great. A, are you going to draw into it? B, do you really want to take that card that is only good against this deck and like Machine Dramon?
Yeah. Yeah, I get.
And also, again, he's very limiting for design space. If he exists, you cannot print any Mega Zoo cards, because he immediately takes them and says, okay, if this does anything with trash or has just a generically good effect, I will take this and abuse it and make it better than it is in its own deck.
Yeah. Thank you, Burley. I appreciate it. Congratulations on your dub, man.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out to the stream. We got more fun stuff to come. Take it easy. Peace.